Welcome to the In Season podcast, rated R for language.
None of us are doctors or neurologists. Things you're about to hear are opinions of people living with epilepsy or seizures. These are firsthand experiences. Epilepsy can cause speech problems, and medications are hard to pronounce, so please bear with me. Epilepsy can cause bad memory, so some stories will be repeated. I'm Pookie. Get ready.
Somebody's asking, how many seizures did people have before medicating? I'm wondering how other people knew that they needed medication and how often their episodes before and after they were medicated. I'm 25-year-old female, only had my first TC at 23, no history of any seizures before then. Since then, I've had 3 separate TC episodes over the last 2 years and a few deja vu auras. I have recently been diagnosed with epilepsy after a TC during my sleep a few months ago and prescribed lamotrigine, but I'm absolutely terrified to start taking it. I already suffer from all of the known common side effects, and I'm in a really good place mentally right now. Feel physically well, generally not on any medication. Unfortunately, I'm going through the NHS. Okay, so UK then. Going through the NHS, so have reached out many times regarding these issues and got nowhere. I feel absolutely stupid for not taking the medication, but because my seizures are so far apart and don't affect me on a daily basis, my fear is that the side effects from the medication would actually be worse. I have a lot of anxiety around medication as I've always had bad reactions to anything I've taken, so I've mentally talked myself out of starting it. I suppose when I have another TC that will change my mind, but I'm in complete denial and taking that risk currently, I suppose. Did anyone have a similar experience? I've only spoken to people who have been on medication since being a child, so they don't exactly know how it's affected them. My anxiety is definitely making the decision more difficult, but keen to hear other experiences. Thank you. So yeah, what do you guys think?
I was just having a conversation similar with this to my mom, with my mom today. And she was always wondering, like, what could have started my seizures? Why do I have it and stuff? And I'm like, we don't know anything. It I could have probably been having, like what we were saying earlier, smaller seizures that went unnoticed for so long, like the absence seizures that went unnoticed so long that, the pathways just blew up into TCs when they actually started. And I do think it's genetic. My sister, like, there's a lot of people with like MS and stuff in my family. So it is, genetics type too. So, but I was what, 14, barely 14 when I started having TC. So, and we don't, like, the doctors and us didn't even know then, like, why is he having them? What, why can't I figure out an aura when they're happening? Like, I'm already in unconscious phase before I even have a TC. Back then we called it grand mouse. Right, Pookie? it's just one of those things where I accepted it. I got it now, but yeah, I probably could have been having it so long, and they were going unnoticed so long because no one had information.
I'm sorry, did you mention when they were noticed?
Uh, I was barely 14 when they started.
Okay.
My
That's right.
grandma.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I remember that now.
Yeah.
So then
Um,
there's not even a way to count them, is there? It's just.
no. And I
Hmm.
also suffer absence seizures. We know more about absence seizures now, but back then when you think he's just daydreaming, that could have been absence seizures. Yeah.
Have you noticed one or the other becoming more common over time? Like have your uh grand mal's TCs become more frequent than your absence over time? Has that been
My
a
absence are still hard to catch because they can be quick. They can last, under 30 seconds sometimes. But the grand mals, they have gotten worse. The myoclonic jerking and tonic ones, yeah, they gotten worse.
did
Like I
those
said,
start after you were 14?
yeah, they
After the
started.
first day.
That's when they uh diagnosed me with epilepsy, when my grand mal started.
And then the jerks and tonics after that.
Yeah, everything got worse, I would say, within the last few years. I am medical resistant, so yeah, the medication works for a bit, and then my body builds up tolerance to it, and guess what? Those medicines don't work except the side effects. They don't hold back the seizures. We learned that. I think I fully accepted that when I was on Keppra, when they kept trying to push it up and seizures were still coming through, but the bad side effects were getting worse, you know, like rage.
So I guess there wasn't any hesitance to when they or prescribed you with epilepsy to start taking that first med then, was there? You just started it because
When I
um
was 14, the first med I was on was Dilatin, and it wasn't stopping the seizures then. I was still having grand mals, then. And then they put me on to Carbitrol or Tegatrol. Tegatrol, then Carbitrol. I think the one that worked the most, that actually controlled it for a while, was Depakote. And then they came back. They came back with a vengeance.
Woofy girl. Woofy's up on the desk with me here. I don't know if you can see very well. Woofy girl. Woof. Oh, it might just be a matter of time before she starts beating me up here. She jumped up on the desk and now she's sitting, literally has her left foot on my phone next to me here, so I go to take a picture to show you, but she's saying no, keeping my phone away from me. And her
It's
tail's
telling you you're busy.
wagging like she wants something and she's angry at me for not giving it to her, and she's looking over at the food bowl over there. If I kept poking her and trying to pet her, she might have started just swatting at me there. She can be a little temperamental, but I feel safer now with her over there. Um,
He'll save you.
okay, so Andrea, did you have any thoughts on this question? Any comments for this user here?
What was the question again?
How many seizures did people have before medicating? They were saying
Oh yeah.
like the before and after, and there was like a threefold question that they wrapped all up in this one post here.
No, I honestly, I'm not sure. My first seizure that I kind of remember it now that you mention it. My first seizure was that I know of was a big tonic clonic in my sleep, and I don't think I don't remember if I started taking the Keppra right away or if I waited till I had the next seizure and was actually diagnosed.
Hmm.
But it didn't, after two tonic clonics, it was like the second one. I know I was on it by then after two tonic clonics. But the more I've learned about epilepsy over the years, I suspect that I was having different kinds of seizure activities, just small things that, of course, I cannot bring to mind right now to tell you specifically, that were probably seizure related.
Little weird sensations kind
Right,
of thing.
just little weird things over the years that I think of now, and it's like, huh, I wonder if that was had something to do with it, or if that might have had something to do with seizures, or like all the days that at first my first few seizures were all in nocturnal tonic-clonics. So it was okay, well, how many have I really had? I don't really know.
Yeah,
And
and it's kind of a big leap to go from nocturnal tonic-clonics to daytime
well,
absence. It's like, how do you even know to look for that, right?
right. And I've discovered over these last several years, it's like, especially now, it was before Andrew died, he was at work all day long. So he would leave at 7:30, 7:15 in the morning and wouldn't get home till 6, slow down, 5:45 at night, 6 o'clock sometimes. So I'd be home alone all day long. He'd come home for lunch for a little bit and then go back to work. But I was pretty much here with the cat. I have no idea what happened. We don't have cameras, at that time. And then after he died, and I've figured out that, like, okay, these aren't just weird feelings you're having. You're having, you know, focal awares, you're having focal unawares or absent seizures, you're having tonic clonics. Just the more I'm learning, it's like, okay, you're doing a whole lot more than you think. And, they're sending me up to have surgery evaluation. And I literally looked at the doctor and I was like, I kind of don't understand why I'm being evaluated for surgery. And she's like, why is that? I was like, well, I don't think my epilepsy's that bad. She's like, why? And I was like, do you? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I just don't feel like I have epilepsy that bad because I, for the most part, I don't have seizures that often. I function pretty normally through my days, seizure wise. As far as I know, I'm not having seizures constantly all day long. My last seizure was back in July. But at the same time, she pointed out to me, she's like, just because you're not having seizures every day doesn't mean you don't have severe epilepsy. She's like, you're on 4 different medications and you're still having seizures. You don't think that's severe enough for you to be evaluated? I was like, I never looked at it that way.
Nocturnal tonic-clonics put people like you and I at particularly high risk for SUDEP. I mean, we're the risk
Don't don't
category among epileptics for, so,
don't
yeah.
tell my mom.
Yes,
Higher risk for
gotcha.
SUDEP, higher
It's
risk
just
for strokes.
I'm sorry,
all
Angel, I missed what you said. Something about strokes,
I'm
Angel?
saying we're higher risk for SUDEP and higher risk for strokes. All those
Yeah,
nocturnal ones because they go unnoticed and then they'll go untreated.
well, how many times do you get up in the morning and you just feel like crap and you didn't realize it? And then, like, now it's like, I wonder, years, now knowing what I know, did I have a seizure or
You
did
know
I
how
just sleep bad?
you know how many times I asked my wife that when we were married, and it's like, did I have a seizure? And now I have a camera. I'm like, here we go.
After the one I had in July, I think that obviously I don't know because I was by myself, but I'm just guessing from how I felt in the aftermath. I think it was the worst tonic colonic I've had ever. And I got up and I ordered cameras right after that happened. Once I regained consciousness anyway, because I think I spent a day and a half in bed after that one.
Yeah, the last seizure I had, I didn't even know what happened. I'm like, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? And next thing, I'm like looking, and I'm looking at the floor, and I see them broken, and I'm like, all right, 1 and 1 already together. I think I had a seizure. Time to check the camera, and I check the camera, and yep, there I go having the seizure.
I always get this horrible, really bad nausea. And hi, Kate. It's like its own kind of thing, but I'm always so
Mama Kate.
sick that I can't, in the time, because I'm in the middle of a seizure, I don't recognize the fact that I'm having a seizure. And I wish that I would at that point in time, rather than just lay on the floor and wish I was not feeling sick. Would
wait,
probably
so
take better.
is that during the seizure, like you're still like actively aware and
I
but
think
still
so.
conscious, but not aware that you're seizing, just feeling sick on the floor?
Basically, here's what I do know. I know that when I was in the EMU, my really big tonic-clonic that I had, the only thing I remember of it was I turned to Andrew and said, "Wow, I feel like I'm gonna puke." And that's all I remember. And
Hmm.
according to him, Apparently, I had a massive tonic-clonic. Nurses came rushing in, and all kinds of chaos ensued. Of course, I remember nothing.
Did you puke?
No,
Mhm.
I just feel like I'm going to, and I want to die. But this horrible, horrible nausea happens, and I remember talking to the neurologist about it afterwards, and he's like, "Oh yeah, when you did that, you were already seizing. Like in your brain, you were already seizing." So I believe I
Would
was
that be
already in my
the
seizure.
focal and before it had spread to the bilateral?
Right. It like before it had gone to full on tonic-clonic.
Mm.
But I'm out of it so much that I don't know what's going on. I'm just know I'm sick, and I don't, I just feel really sick.
Um,
So did you have any um reservations about starting the medication like this other user had? Um,
I've had reservations about every single medication I've started. Especially because they just keep piling them on top of each other.
well, she
And I
was,
think
I mean, what she was saying, given the prescription, it sounds like, and she hasn't even started taking it after a couple of months. Was that,
I I think she should definitely take it if she thinks, I mean, if it was prescribed to her, and if she doesn't feel comfortable taking it, then she should talk to the doctor about why she doesn't feel comfortable taking it.
yeah. Well, I mean, the UK, I guess, dealing with the NHS, that might not be that simple for her, I suppose, but that definitely,
That's true.
you know, I didn't have any reservations. I was just given the prescription and told to start, and I started, I was not really feeling in any particular state to argue against it at the time. I think I was still a bit out of it when I started taking. I think it was was it?
See, there's a good and bad, and it depends on the medication. All again, like what medication is it? What is the bad side of the medication? And that's like, yes, I say take your, you know, medication as prescribed, but at the same time, don't just take it because your doctor tells you to take it. Like, look it up, see
Yeah,
what the good and bad is. Like, we know what benzos can do. We know what the bad stuff of Keppra can do, and it's like we know all this stuff now. And it's always like, just do the research about your medications. You know,
I need to research some of my medications more than I do because the past few I got on them just because I was told to. But these days, I know I can look stuff up and read it and see how I feel about it. When I started back in the late 2000s, they were like, take this. I was like, I'm a teenager and there weren't phones as much as there are these days to look up things. These days, you got everything you need to succeed. Some people just don't use it.
yeah, there's a
But
lot.
I do have something.
There's a lot more
Go ahead.
options these days with medications, but at the with epilepsy and seizures, it's like Mark says, your brain gets, if you don't medicate, your brain just grows into the habit of seizing, and it's going to continue to seize. And so you're going to need the medication. It's just definitely look up what you're taking first. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna have to start taking medication eventually, unless they want to just, I don't know, unless their plan is to stay obstinate all the rest of their life, And if they're going to start taking medication at some point, then there's going to be a process of finding the right medication. And the sooner they start that, then the sooner they can, live as normal a life as they can. So it, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to fight against it and stay opposed to taking medication simply for the medication's sake. I don't know. I tend to be a lot more like procedural and logical than a lot of, well, than most other people. I mean, so the strong emotional side, I think, is coming through in this post, and it's something that I haven't really considered. So it's interesting.
Yeah, so it sounds like that post, I mean, from the emotional standpoint, I can understand why you don't want to take your medication. But if you get with a doctor who's listening to you and actually taking all aspects of, your condition into consideration, then maybe they'll come up with a long-term plan. So you have that hope essentially of, take your meds now, manage the seizures, and after, 6 months, a year, whatever, they'll maybe start the surgery um, procedures, like, all that. And you can look forward to maybe seeing if you're eligible for some other kind of procedure that could be sufficient and, enough to get you off the meds, or at least a lower dose. And on
Maybe
that
you could
note,
be a guinea
I've
pig.
been 5 days now taking my fraction of a dose of Keppra only once a day. So yeah, maybe the RNS selling point did actually work.
Nice.
We'll
Hey,
see.
congrats.
Congrats. Love these congrats stories.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something on the
Congrats
positive
on
side.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what I
I'm
missed?
gonna
How's your
start
night
off
going?
this soon. Go ahead.
I was saying what I missed. How'd everybody's night going?
Going good. I might start Omvi soon. That was the news I had. Well, not might. The prescription has been sent. It's just the going to pick it up part. We're gonna do that.
Yeah, not
You
even
guys,
not all the pharmacies will necessarily have it. The controlled substances, some of the, especially some of the newer benzos, the well, I guess it wasn't benzos, but like the Lyrica extended release, I couldn't find it, like 3 different pharmacies nearby. Uh, they wouldn't even special order it for me. It was such a hassle for them. So that's something to I don't know, I guess something to keep in mind. If it's the only option, then I guess it's unavoidable. But if if transportation is a major concern, as it is with a lot of us, then make sure to double check with whoever your prescriber is and make sure that it's not so weird or new a prescription that it'll be so difficult for your pharmacies to get that, you know. I guess it's not necessarily something at all if the doctors will be able to tell beforehand either, though. So I don't know, but I ramble. Sorry.
Yeah. I forgot what you were gonna say. As soon as you said sorry, that threw me off.
Welcome,
Yeah.
iPhone. Do we
The
have an
controlled
icebreaker?
substance.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, it's Solace. Sorry, I'm trying to change my name.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Hey,
I think we can help you out with that.
I'm not very tech savvy.
Yeah, you're okay. I got you.
cool. I didn't know
So,
you
welcome
could
back.
do that
How's your
person.
week been?
It's been okay. How about you?
Pretty good.
Yeah, so far
And
so good
Pookie,
for
you're
me.
looking good, meant to tell you. Welcome back yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my age is coming into play. Yeah, I can't. It's not the age.
If you let Jeff hear you say that,
I
he
don't
would
know.
lose it.
It isn't the age. It's the more after the stroke, post stroke. Pay more attention to my body. And yeah, earlier I was like, I need to get up and walk around. I used to be able to sit for 10 hours and just do the podcast for 10 hours looking at a screen, and it don't bother me. Around like 5, I was like, I might need to go. My eyes are losing it, but I'm back, and my eyes are good. I had food.
Okay, looks like he's having some technical difficulties. I'm sure we'll get him back.
Yeah, that's been happening on and off this evening.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what did we like most about first season? I mean, timing is everything. Just how we all got, you know, I don't know, just found this random group of everything that, kind of makes sense. And like he said, realizing that you're not alone and learning. I think the biggest my biggest like love about the first season was how much we like unintentionally learned about our own condition just by hearing everybody else's, anecdotes and journey and everything else. What about you, Solus? What's something that you like about this?
So wait, I have a question. When you say like first
Yeah, go for it.
season, what season is this? Or like what is that? Do you mean like the last time?
Yeah, so I'm a little confused about that too, where and what it kind of.
Okay.
So this is the second time that I've joined one of these. So I guess does that mean this is my second season?
Yeah.
So you were here on Friday, so um,
What do you like about this since you've started coming?
Um,
if today is the first day of season 2, then I guess technically you've been in both seasons. You've been featured on season 1 and season 2.
But that's
So
semantics. So let's go ahead and tell us what you like.
count on me to point that out, right?
Right, Mark, you got to get the specifics out there. It's official.
I think just uh connecting with other people who know the hardships of having epilepsy. I mean, I don't know anyone in my personal life with epilepsy. I know one person, but I'm not friends with him. We don't talk. We don't we don't ever see each other really they're in my past. They're a part of, So just being able to talk to people who understand what it's like um, is helpful and makes me feel less alone.
I like that. Because for a long time, I didn't know anyone with epilepsy or anyone going through it. No one ever talked about it like they had a cousin or anything going through it. I just thought it was just me. It was like the only one I always see at the emergency room. I've never met anybody until I started doing this, and I was like, I got to do this. And I'm glad you guys love it. People love it. Never thought I'd know 50 people with epilepsy. Who would have known?
I never thought I'd know 5.
It says, I think I've had enough. 22-year-old female, and all I could think of every night before I sleep is me dying or something tragic happening or hurting myself. I pray so hard I don't wake up crying. Upon waking out of disappointment, I'm done. I have no one. I am in this alone. I don't want to be here anymore. I want everything to stop. I don't know what to do. Can someone help me or take me away from this? That was it. Or take
Quick
me away from
answer is
this.
come join us.
That's rough. Crying before bed. I haven't had to go through that. I say join this and talk to people who are going through it so you don't feel alone anymore and don't want to be here anymore. It's rough. I haven't heard anyone say that in a while.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Epilepsy can get the best of us, but don't give up. There's so much more to life. I've been dealing with this for 20 years, and it's going to get way worse before it gets any better, but it gets better with time. You're going to see the worst before you see better. So, you guys, advice? This person needs someone to hear someone that's going through
I
this.
say
I don't know if
come
you guys
join us
been that
right
far,
away.
but I've been on the edge of doing things and saying things that I was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely felt that way before. I mean, I've definitely gone to sleep and thought, I just hope I have a massive seizure in my sleep and don't wake up. Like that would be the best thing to happen to me. I've thought that before.
I've been there before.
And you know, when you said it gets better with time, I think it doesn't necessarily get better with time, but I like to think of it like you grow around the hardship. Like, it might not get better in time, but you learn to cope better. I mean, some people's epilepsy is never going to get better, but there are things you can do to cope over time. I don't know.
I have a quote that sums that kind of up perfectly. It says that life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient.
I like that.
Where's
Yeah, I like
Z
that.
when we need her about the resilience?
I know. One of these days, I'll read it to her too.
Hey, Pookie, Rick's been here the longest. Rick was here day
That's true.
one,
Rick
right?
and
Or
Kevin
Kevin, right?
and Brandon. Yeah, the comments are mostly stay strong, just gets better with time. Same, I'm in the
Yeah,
same boat.
they just need to come on here and join us. Come be with people who's going through the same thing. It'll be easier.
I got one right here. It says, does anyone know what to call this feeling? So most of the time before I have a seizure, I have this overwhelming change in body temperature and I get all clammy and my mind is playing random weird memories or thoughts. and it feels like I'm dizzy, but that's the only word I have to describe it. It sends me back into my head. It's almost like a sense of doom feeling. It happens a lot without me going into a seizure as well, but it scares me a lot. This is probably something I already should know, but no doctor has had a name for it for me. Can anyone help?
Like euphoria or something like that. Like a nostalgic, not, I wouldn't say nostalgic, but because it sounds like doom, but it's a type of aura.
Yeah, my question is, how do they know it's not a seizure? Because what they're describing kind of sounds like it could be a seizure.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's a type of aura.
Right.
Yeah, the impending doom. I was gonna say that is a type of seizure. Someone told me, and
Yeah.
the clammy part, um, that something because I go through that. I don't exactly know what to call that, the clammy part, but I've been told that that's a type of seizure. So um, I don't know what to call it. I would just say that's a seizure. Um, the impending doom part. I went through that part. Most of you guys were there. And for the first time, that was just a really, really odd feeling. Um, I think that's because I finally understood it and then went through it. So that was the really weird thing. But yeah, that sounds like an actual seizure, and you should definitely talk to your doctor.
Mhm.
We can go to the first comment here. Oh, someone says, is it before a tonic clonic? It's also called an aura, but that's actually a seizure itself. And someone said, yeah, I get tonic clonic seizures and they suck. You should definitely tell your doctor, not keep that from them. Let them know you're having auras.
Take
Oh, please
notes.
tell me.
Always take notes of what time of day, if it's more severe, how long it lasts, things like that. And that might help the doctor take it a little more seriously. And, if anything, maybe give you more of like a thorough opinion on whether they think it's an aura or and how to handle it too.
Yeah, definitely ask your neurologist. How do you handle it? Um, some more responses. One says, I go through this exact feeling before a seizure too. Sometimes I get this feeling and I fight the seizure off or it passes. Someone said, often referred to as an aura. Someone else here said that, right? It's an aura and it is a seizure.
It is. It is an aura. I heard them before. I don't get them, but I heard about them before. And they all describe the same way.
I do have another post here. It says EEG tests. My neurologist wants me to get an EEG done. To prepare it, I'm not allowed to get more than 4 hours of sleep the previous night. If I have a seizure during the test, does that license ban? Does that license ban start all over again? My license was suspended for 6 months, and I've been 4 months seizure free. If I have a seizure during the test, do I only need to complete the remaining 2 months, or do I start off at 6 months all over again? I already got canceled and rescheduling because I was scared. I want to cancel again because I'm so scared.
That's a good
Um,
question.
I
Does
wouldn't
it
even risk it, but yeah.
does it vary by does it matter what state they're in or where they are?
I mean,
I know
each
the
state
limit is
has its
different.
own DMV, so I would assume it
Yeah.
has to vary by state. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I would assume the standard is, though, that if you have a seizure during the duration of that ban, that license ban, then that's it. I would assume that, logically, it sounds like you start over.
Yeah.
But, how do you prove it? Is it on record? And obviously if they have the EEG seizure during the EEG, then it's definitely on record. And I don't know if they would have to report it
I
to the
was
I
DMV.
was told
but-
that, like during the EMU stay, that was considered a provoked seizure because they had me come off of the medications, on top of doing all of everything. So the EMU stay and those seizures there did not reset my driving clock. And I was told that explicitly by my epileptologist at the time. So
same.
they would need to ask their doctor when they get there at that, and for that EEG. A big factor that I did not hear in their post is whether or not they're on medication, and if so, whether or not the doctor has told them to stop taking the medication on top of the sleep deprivation. Those were the factors at the EMU stay that my doctor had said were what was considered the provoked or provoking factors. In Florida, the unprovoked seizure is the big important part of it. If I or because I was not on the medication at the time, it didn't count. If I had a seizure during that 6 month time, like let's say the next week after going back on the medication, then that would be unprovoked and on the medication, or and within that period. So that would reset there, but yeah, it would vary by state, and I guess maybe in part the doctor, whether or not they report this stuff to the DMV. Not all of them necessarily take that part as seriously. Well,
What
I don't know.
what if
I
like
don't,
I didn't understand it either because they're asking like, what if I have a seizure during an EEG, but they want you to have a seizure during an EEG. So, um, like you guys want me to have a seizure, but I want to drive and I haven't been this so many months. And now it's like, do I really need to, at this point, do I really need to have an EEG done or what's more important? Um,
I mean, if it does reset the clock, then you want it over with and out of the way behind you as soon as possible. So postponing it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's tough.
Well, like you said, they explicitly told you about the EEG not resetting the clock because that provoked seizure is really important in all cases. I mean, that's a different ICD. That's a different diagnosis code when it's a provoked seizure. So I think that provoked seizure term might be like the key of interpreting that. Not to mention just call the office, check in. Anybody should be able to tell you that's probably a pretty common question. So don't let it be scared. Don't let it slow you down because this is an important part of your treatment. And maybe that's long term more important than just kind of slowing it down until you get a question answered. And that, I don't know, just long term. Don't let it slow you down. Get the EEG and hopefully have the seizures so you can get a better treatment plan going. But in the meantime, submit it by my chart or voicemail or whatever, and they should be able to get back to you.
yeah, do it as soon as possible. And if you have to start your clock over, the sooner you do it is better.
And
It's a
you
messed
can
up
get through
position to
it.
kind of put somebody in. Go ahead, Mark.
Just saying, you can get through it. Don't worry. It's not insurmountable.
So I do have something here. It's another question. It says, aware tonic clonics. Does anyone else experience a TC except where you're aware and remember the whole thing? I know. If you're aware of it, then it isn't a TC. Nevertheless, a few of my seizures were just like one, and those observing couldn't tell the difference between them and the in quote real thing. My ex had seen at least 40 of my actual TCs and was quite surprised when I told her afterwards that I remembered the whole thing the first time it happened. I'm controlled now, except for a few minor focal auras, once every blue moon. Still curious about it. My previous neurologist didn't feel like taking the time to explain things to me. Pretty much everything I know about my condition I learned on my own. When I see my current neurologist again, I will try and pick his brain on this. As he seems very intelligent, respectfully, I will be willing to answer any questions, being condescending. I could have used that 17 years ago when I was needing it, and much more than now. But I digress. In the meantime, if anyone else has any knowledge about the in quote almost TC or have any experience with this as well, I'd like your input. Maybe someone who could point me in the right direction as far as research that has gone into this or what the proper name for them is.
I
Um,
don't know what the proper name for it is, but it is definitely possible. And I've been through them. And you
yeah,
have too, Pookie. And they're
yes, I've
scary.
been through
Yes.
too many of those, and those are scarier than actually tonic clonic. And it's a very odd feeling of waking up and being able to kind of be there for the experience. Would that be a weird way to put it?
Yeah.
Kind of just being there for it is a very odd way of experiencing it, and then being there and can't really do anything about how your body is reacting to this.
You can't
Um,
control it. You can't do nothing. I
yeah,
mean, it's close. I would say the closest thing you can say they are, but they're not like jerks. It's a full on, basically, the way to describe it is a tonic clonic, but you're just aware of it. But it is close to a myoclonic.
yeah, because I've had it where I can fully tell like this is going on, and then I can hear people in the background like explaining what's going on because of course they can see what's going on, and then I can hear everything that's going on around me. I just can't react or look at that person, but I can see wherever direction my head is facing and my face is looking. And yeah, I've had it in a car to where I could hear people screaming, "Oh, he's having a seizure!" and it's in the front seat. Stop and do this and that. I
The
don't know what
few
the name is.
I went base plant.
Yeah, I think someone told me once upon a time it was complex partial, but that was someone else said complex partial was something else. So I don't know what kind of seizure that is. Still haven't got a
Complex
name for it.
partials are basically the same thing as impaired awareness. Um, you're not aware of it, basically impaired.
Okay. So yeah, I have no explanation for what this is, but I've had it. Um, fully aware of what's going on during the seizure. Can feel everything. I can feel myself gritting my teeth. I can feel me doing this, gripping my hands or whatever. I don't have that on my hand. Um, yeah, I don't have an answer for it, but I know what you're going through. I just don't have a name for what this is called. Angel, you talked to any doctors about that?
I talked to them before, and all that happened because of it was basically that's what got me started on the reason they put me on Clonopin.
Mm.
And they have no clue really, like, as to what it is. It's probably a new form of seizure, that no one's ever uh reported.
I hope we find an answer. But I'll read the first comment here. And one says, that's usually called a partial if you're awake. Was there a concentrated part of your body that tensed up? Nowadays, after a close to 2 decades of medication, I usually only have partials. And the person says, I know it's a partial, but it was my whole body, as I said, observers thought it was a tonic-clonic. Yeah, it's very weird, hard to explain thing.
If it's happened to so many of us, though, and obviously over a long period of time, you would think that the doctors would at least recognize it by now as a tonic-clonic and explain that, you know, the standard definition right now calls a tonic-clonic as, you're not aware, but I've heard of this and this happens so much, like it at least acknowledge for the patient that they're not alone. This isn't by any means a new kind of seizure, that this happens, but the industry just doesn't recognize it yet or define it. But that's another thing that doctors very rarely do, would ever admit to, something being not new, but still not really up to standard on how to treat it. They can't admit that.
I got another post here. It says, what's happening to me? Seizures? In 2018, I had a series of episodes, 12 to 24, 12 in a 24-hour period, would start me with having some intense deja vu with a doom-like feeling. These happened whether I stood up or whether I sat or laid down. Apart from the first one, I lost awareness and consciousness. I would sweat profusively. Then it was the end. Was hospitalized for 5 days with an EEG, MRI after 4 days of being admitted. Both showed nothing. Lost my driver's license for a year. This never happened again until today. What is this? I wouldn't know personally. I'd just say go with what the doctor said at this point, because yeah, see your primary, talk to your primary. If the emergency room has nothing to say, yeah, talk to your primary and see what's going on. One comment here says, not a doctor, but sounds like focal aware seizure. Go back to your doctor. It's normal to not catch anything on an EEG and MRI. Just doesn't mean you didn't have a seizure during it.
No, it's another take notes and keep the doctor in the loop kind of situation. And we always have a follow-up after an ER visit anyway. You would expect them to call
Always.
you once they get those notes.
Yeah, for some reason my doctor calls me every other visit. Because they're like, I seen you went to the emergency room for this, so why haven't I heard from you? And I seen you went through these two or whatever. But my doctor doesn't exactly call me for everyone, so.
Oh, okay, good. Now Mark's here for this one. I don't think the VNS has an effect anymore. I had the VNS implant in July of 21, and it seemed to be working at first. These days, clusters have increased since being diagnosed 27 years ago. This is this is the year I've had the most seizures. 106 focal seizures so far. Drug resistant, now more than ever before. It follows the lunar cycle like clockwork, beginning and ending with the half moon phase. In 2 weeks, I go to the EMU to see if I qualify for surgery. Have a feeling it may only be maybe my only chance at a full recovery after all these years, even though I stand to lose many things such as general and vocab. I don't know. Memory, creativity, cognitive function, and possibly more. I had already decided I wouldn't do it because I'm too afraid that I might die when they're doing it. I've had a friend die in the middle of brain surgery before, have a very lucrative corporate career, and a family of 4 to support. Now I'm starting to think I'm getting desperate and I don't know what to do. Those who have done surgery before, please help. Okay, so this whole post is about the VNS implant that they had going on 3 years ago now. 3.5. And they're saying it seemed to be working at first, but now it's not. The clusters have increased and they're just having more and more seizures. They're noticing that it follows the lunar cycle and too scared to go through another surgery.
What would the surgery be? Like
Probably
another
ablation. I would think a lobectomy or ablation.
uh
But yeah, that's definitely something that's intimidating, especially after you've already gone through a surgery. But the VNS, I guess they don't have to. It's not so invasive as any of the other
The
epilepsy
VNS is the
surgeries.
one in your chest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We
would say
were
that's less
discussing
invasive.
earlier that the difference between the VNS, the RNS, and the DBS, and we were I think it was Angel, Andrea and I were there at the time discussing the DBS is also in the chest and it goes up. So that was just an interjection, I guess.
Anybody
I
else
don't-
notice any similarities with the lunar cycle thing?
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say that was really interesting. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone talk about the timing of their seizures in relation to the lunar cycle. I've never heard that before.
I'm suspicious that there is a trend, but that's just something I've never take notes on. Whenever I have a seizure, the last thing on my mind is like, is it a full moon? Whatever
Yeah.
the lunar cycle is. That's just nothing that I've ever recorded. But
Yeah.
I guess we could go back and look it up somehow, or just like time it. But that's something I would be interested in seeing too.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Jeff is back. But
I mean, the lunar cycle makes a at least a degree of sense because the recurrence, at least there's something there for a pattern to be able to create some degree of correlation. Like if it's like the eclipse or blood moon or something, uh, a one-off occurrence that's like saying, you know, this child born under a solar eclipse is destined to rule the nation or something. There's one single, like how do you create a connection to an astronomical phenomenon with only a single, I don't know, there's
Like
no
one
way.
time occurrence. You
uh,
can't get a pattern or a baseline.
yeah, the lunar eclipse or the lunar cycle is fascinating to me because at least it seems to me at least there's some degree of plausibility that there might actually be some, not necessarily a correlation, but there might be some reason for something to be happening on a recurring basis like that. But like a single celestial event, right? I don't know, I'm repeating myself at this point, but hopefully somebody else has something to say.
We can get into the comments here too.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else is saying that, so they're comparing theirs to the RNS. So they're saying, I had my RNS implanted in 2020. Max results are 10 years out. Oh, like the furthest back they can go is 10 years. Okay. At first, I just breezed over the top of this and thought you had multiple. This is heartbreaking. I've had 4 brain surgeries, have a semi-normal life now. There are boundaries, but if anything, it has made me more resilient, added to my character. Not sure what country you're in, but you won't die. They wouldn't approve the surgery. I work in healthcare as the X-ray, and from experience on both ends, the anesthesia will be tough, I admit. Ask yourself, would you rather have guaranteed seizures that render you useless or a gradual decline in seizures, allowing you to be independent? I had to take a hot minute to think about my surgeries, made the right decision. That's well said.
I feel like you should never say you won't die because
Yeah.
I used to work in the OR and just anesthesia could potentially kill someone. I mean, I've seen that happen, but I don't know. That just when that part stuck out to me because I feel like that's just
Never
a
say
very
never.
that's a very bold thing to say you won't die because we don't know that. I hope they don't, obviously, but um yeah.
Have you ever had any surgeries, like brain surgeries or epilepsy?
No, um, no, I mean, I've had surgeries. I've had shoulder surgery and uh, I've had a breast tumor and a neck tumor, but I've never had any surgery for my epilepsy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, still all that experience in healthcare. I wonder if I know by the time I went through my RNS, I was just desperate at that point. I didn't see any other way out of this or chance of taking less meds, so I just, started that process. But for people who actually have experience in healthcare, I wonder if they're, a lot of times less likely to be so quick to go through with it just because you do see, like you said, complications so much more. I would understand if you definitely want to do more research.
Yeah.
That is a pretty bold statement. And of course, OP replied to that one saying that's an amazing story. Having 4 surgeries is incomprehensible, unfathomable. Lots of courage with miraculous results for sure. As a person in my early 40s with health quickly deteriorating, it's nothing to be trifled with as a decision. And they're asking how old, what age did you begin this? And
No barking.
yeah, they're saying
Oof.
food for thought, best decision.
Oof, no.
I have one.
No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, OP was definitely grateful for that one. The person who originally posted that never replied about the OP's question of what age did you begin this? Okay, so this is somebody with a VNS saying I have one. See my doctor at least twice a year to discuss how things are going and whether it needs to be set higher more frequently. And this person just asked OP more about how often do you see someone and when can you talk about it? When can you hear out your options? I think at this point it's clear. This is OP now replying to that, saying my neurologist and I haven't discussed it in a very long time. Haven't spoken to the VNS tech for even longer. I suppose I could bring it up, but I don't know if it's worth doing that at this point. So does anybody else feel like their doctor really doesn't keep you informed of your options or to kind of go over what you can do on a regular basis?
I've definitely felt that before, but also where I am right now with my epilepsy, there's not really anything for me to do because I haven't had a seizure in so long. But when I was having frequent seizures, I remember just feeling so confused about like what the plan was, what I mean, even my medications. I was confused about, at one point I was on so many meds. Um, I was just confused about everything. Um, so, and that's not just with my neurologist. I felt that with a lot of doctors before.
I feel like I haven't been informed well by my doctors for pretty much the whole time. So everything I've learned, I've figured out on my own.
Yeah, about 90% of what I've learned has been through here. 5% is me alone, and 5% is about what my doctors taught me. So most of the things I know are from here. I have something here. It says, focal frequency keeps increasing. How do you treat yours? I used to get them once a month or several days. Then my neuro prescribed Klonopin to stop them. The drug works, which is great. However, now my seizures are coming once a week rather than once a month. Recently, my Vimpat was increased to 100 milligrams, so now I'm on 400, and I don't think it's doing anything. What do I do? You take B12. I've been taking B12 for my focal seizures, and I have not had a focal since before last summer. So yeah, the day I started taking it, haven't had a focal. Shout out to Nature's Made. Yeah, that's what's been helping me. Is anyone having focals other than me? Well, I was.
I was, but I'm not anymore. Just like you.
Yeah, same. And I didn't know about the B12 thing. I wish I did though when I was having them. Um, that's yeah, I didn't know about that.
Started to take B12, help that out, and I haven't had them before, like I said before last summer. So doing pretty good. No more focals. Yeah. So Nature Made gummies, they work. They're doing good for me, at least, and quite a few other people that I've told about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got Jeff, got Rick. Um, there's more than a handful of people. Kate, Andrea. There
Are you
you go.
sponsored by Nature's Made? You should be.
Uh, I need to check that email. Put in the application. So, yeah, go try it. But for one of the comments here, it says you have to speak with your neuro to tweak your meds. You're in that phase of limbo where the meds aren't controlling your seizures. I used to solely have focal, and it was about once a month. I knew when to expect them. You don't want to have life living this life of uncertainty. So a change of dose or a switch could be your best option. Yes, it will take time to figure out what works, but once it does, quality of life will be much better. Oh, Jeff left. He is in the comments. He says, I take 300 micrograms of B12 daily. Have dramatically cut down on my focals to almost none from 2 to 3 a week. There you go.
One of our own offering a success story. Love it.
Nature's Made, they need to get up in these comments. They don't even know like how much money they're making from
Me.
Pookie.
Yeah. They need to let epileptics know, your medication is making you B12 deficient and tell us to start taking with it. But too bad we find most of this out without doctors. Yeah. But I do have another one here. It says depression. I had a seizure a few days ago. My one before that was November 24th. Oh, November 24. And before that was 2020. I'm wondering if anyone has experienced any intense depression. Intense is in all caps, you guys. So intense depression following a seizure. It's not even in quote, oh, it's so sad that I have this disease. I'm not even necessarily thinking about epilepsy or the seizure. I can put a smile on my face. I'm just always on the verge of tears. I can't fake being happy. Is this a brain recovering thing? My depression was just an epilepsy thing. I don't know about a recovering thing. Um,
Part of a recovery thing because you're more susceptible to it. I would assume, especially if you've been having like just a really rough week or month or how, whatever length of time. If your seizures increase, then I find it harder to get back in a good mood. Never had diagnosed depression, but I would assume this person should definitely have another specialist to, tend to their mental health too.
Yeah.
there is two comments here. One says, yes, usually for a short time, measured in days. In my case, primarily from medications, both daily and rescue meds. Another comment says, so I still have this after attacks. The only way to get out of this depression, in my opinion, is to have a few attacks. Oh, have fewer attacks. To specifically take the strongest and most effective medication for me, even if sometimes I have unpleasant side effects. Some of these advice, I'm curious as if it works for that person.
Yeah.
That one here, it says, are these seizures and what should I do? I've been having these weird episodes where I get incredibly anxious and I can feel like I'm in an unfamiliar place and everything is bright and blurry. It's happened multiple times today. What do I do?
In my opinion, they said everything's bright and blurry. They're in an unfamiliar place. I don't know. I mean, it could be, but to me, I'm thinking that's not really enough information to know if it's a seizure or not. It could be a panic attack. Um, it could be a seizure, but it could also not be.
Yeah, those ones I think you should write it down and take note that it's happening and look at what you might be doing during this attack or episode. And yeah, talk to your neurologist. But I'd say the taking note of these things first and trying to figure out what's the pattern and what you might be doing when these happens might be good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely got to talk to your neuro if you think you're having seizures and you don't know what to do and you don't know what it is. I tell my neurologist next appointment or send a message. But there's a comment here. One says this sounds like an R, so this is very well could be. Consult your doctor or a neurologist and be ready to dish out money on testing. On testing that may show nothing. They'll throw you on a medication and wait to see if any improvement, less frequency in these sensations has been made. Another comment says, none of us can tell you because none of us are your doctors. Go to a doctor. I'm reading these comments by random also. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not reading ones I'm picking out. Yeah. Another comment says, sounds like some form of focal aware seizure. Could be epileptic or non-epileptic functional seizures. Same symptoms, but looks like a different on an EEG and different types of triggers. While you're waiting for your doctor's appointment, try and keep track of when it happens and what some potential triggers are. And it might be, for instance, sleep deprivation, stress levels, food, environmental allergies, specific situations or thoughts, hormones and medications, alcohol, and any other drugs, etc.
That comment kind of bothers me a little bit because I feel like the post gives such limited information and the that reply is almost just like, I mean, it's like really assuming that it was a seizure, and like I just don't see how you could say that it was based on, I don't know. Because now that
Yeah.
person might think, okay, yes, I had a seizure. So but there's just no way to know that.
Don't take advice from everyone on Reddit.
Right.
Talk to your neuro or your doctor and see where that goes.
Yeah.
Please take your medication as prescribed or whatever works for you. We're not doctors.